Chronicles TV on air. We are now live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In the previous episode, we completed another summation examination. Today, we're going to go into another witness testimony. For after today's episode, make sure that like my sports comparison channel. Constable Beate's report. This case has only nothing to do with Mr. and Miss Garrett's. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor on the Garrett house are top-hinge casements. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I'd leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Roly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on the front, sir.
Well, this is quite startling. Top-hinge casement windows.
That Tito was not in the police report, Constable. Yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy,
You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable.
No, sir.
Sorry, but...
What exactly is a top-hinge encasement window?
You cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend.
Of course. Sorry. I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Miss Garrett's room.
Alright, I'll try.
So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. But as it's a top-hinge casement window, it swings open along the upper edge, you see?
I'm glad you rectify your ignorance. A casement window most prominent feature. It is stay. Is it stay a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount?
It prevents its opening? This is all new to me. Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to be thrown through the open window, it would have clattered against the pane and fall straight down the pavement below. No!
You see, the problem then? Good. Your education in windows is complete. There was never a possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. That is, unless the window pane has been shattered, something we discounted already.
That can't be! Did you see that, Roly? That young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Oh yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Oh, really? You're so strong.
How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet. And already my argument's been destroyed. Counselor, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination.
My lord.
Oh good, another desperate situation.
This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett, believe me. A London Bobby is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the carousel are top-hinge casements. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Roly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on the front, sir.
Hold it!
By which you mean they don't open fully, is that correct? Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit air through the house, you see? They're so restricted as to how much they open.
And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from the inside room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below for clarity. Allow me to mark the map. Here is the location where objects could have fallen. Yes, directly opposite the scene of the crime, on the other side of the rather wide road.
Would it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top-hinge casement thing before?
Well, I have another question for you, Constable.
And what would that be, sir?
How did you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of window Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house is furnished with?
Ah, well, sir, that is very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Miss Beate?
Sorry?
You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that?
Oh, I was just remembering, that's all. We really were so lucky.
Lucky? What do you mean?
Well, of course, I feel terrible for poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we were just lucky it didn't happen on Roly's beat. It was so close, you see.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Oh yes, that street, Briar Road, that's the boundary between Roly's beat and the next one. Isn't that right, my love?
He's back to sleep. Constable Beate.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with the interviewing the occupants of the Garrett household yesterday. Their house is on my beat, you see.
Oh, that really was cutting it close then.
Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something.
If the Garrett household is on your beat, does that mean the pavement next to it is as well?
Outside Mr. Garrett's house?
Yes, ma'am. The pavement on the side of the road is part of my beat. I see. I was unaware of that.
Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of the Briar Road, we would never have been able to go on for the meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby after all.
Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all others.
Did you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Roly for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling? That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it.
I think perhaps we should make sure we have that information on the record.
Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I can take care of it immediately. And now it's my turn, I think.
Let me see. Examine this press A. Young woman rendered unconscious, blah blah, olive green, blah blah. Location pavement of Briar Road, east side. Reporting officer Roly Beate. The victim remains unsupported, blah blah. Glean apart from the single style of left shot along the sailing with running wave. On the east of the Briar Road. Honestly, if anything had been thrown out the window, we would have seen it.
Hold it!
But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark.
Oh, but Roly and I were strolling along, gazing in the night sky and looking for a lucky star.
Sorry?
A star that will guide us to eternal happiness.
Can it guide you to answer the question?
If a flaming bullet had cut across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up like the shooting star. And if I seen the shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Roly be inspector, I would have said it 3 times at least. Of course, with smog and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars.
In short, are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you?
Yes, sir, that is correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir.
It certainly seems like they're telling the truth.
And then we saw the poor woman fall into the ground, so we ran straight over to help her.
Hold it!
Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer, is that right?
That's right, yes. If it had been on Roly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat. So Roly told me the way, only I sort of got a little lost on the way.
Okay. Next!
Oh, please.
Don't take my eyes off the crime scene, not for one moment.
Hold it!
Nothing to report?
That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time, never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. I could swear to that on Yard's honor, sir.
Really? That seems a little strange.
Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir? Seems altogether regular to me.
The burned copy of the lion's pride was originally in the Carrot's household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time?
Aha! Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burned as well?
Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from the photographic print, she had a bag over her hair shoulder.
Wow, sir, that book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene.
Is that so? There's something about his statement that's not sitting right with me. The two mysteries of how the knife ended up in her bag and how the book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. I had no right to speak out.
What do you mean?
I requested a cross-examination. Even if the judge did deny me.
Oh, I see. Well... How did it make its way is the question. Okay, let's just cross-examine this one. Because we did this, we did that. Let's see what this is all about. How can you say that for certain?
A very good question, sir, and the answer is this. It has a noble founding principle of the force written on it as a reminder to all policemen of all sworn duty. He showed us that before, didn't he?
Did he? I can't say I remember.
To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of common man. It's what the job is all about, and that is why I stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you Bobby's good for his word. While rubbing my tired eyes admittedly, sir.
And here we go again. Can I have that book as evidence, please?
No, none of this is what I meant.
I meant how you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garib.
Ah, I see, sir. You could say I've said so earlier, sir.
Yes, well, so could you answer the question? That was a waste of time then.
Absolutely, sir. I will answer to the fullest of my ability, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garib domestic dispute can be related to this case. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing.
Yes?
I very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard, so I hope you take back some tales of us London Bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles.
I wasn't planning on going back just yet, but I only just arrived here.
So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your purse usual, but I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears.
Thank you. I'll try. Hey, we got the thing. Let's go.
Can I ask you something?
Hold it. Before we get into question. Policemen will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for furtherance of community relations. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, crime falls under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. What? Interesting. Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
You're doubting us, aren't you? Here we go again. I wasn't really, I mean, what's she doing?
Please, just because I'm a woman doesn't make my testimony any less valuable. You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am.
I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you.
No excuses, I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you?
Yes, Miss Beate, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you desire. Sometimes the path of your least resistance is the sage one.
That was a very loud mutter.
I heard that. A Japanese man thinks a policeman's wise words counts for nothing else. He? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Roly won't.
Duly noted, Miss Beate. Please, I humbly ask you to continue.
What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder? I know what I saw in my own eyes. It never let me down. I sent the directions.
Wait. She did leave him. Wait, what? Was anything added? I wasn't paying attention. Move it! Move it! You see, so blah blah, we saw that. I did leave the scene and go fetch help, but my trusty Roly was there to make everything was served. I know what I saw, my eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though.
Hold it!
Miss Beate, nobody's questioning what you've told us.
I saw it, I did, that evening. I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back slinking away from the scene.
Ha! Ha! Ha!
And I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books and knives flying through the sky.
All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction.
Oh, yes, well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Roly.
He ever gets so cross.
Excuse me!
Constable Beate, is there a problem? No, sir. No problem, sir. Did your wife remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir.
I was just remembering that at the time, same thing happened that evening is all. You mean Miss Beate lost her way on the night of the incident?
Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. But she was gone for a bit longer than what I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone for 15. Oh, really? You're such a tease. But the reason I was so long because of the bouquet, silly.
The bouquet? Sorry? What bouquet are you talking about?
Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Roly's so romantic. He saved it up for the farthings and pennies he had found a gutter while doing his rounds.
Yes, how romantic.
I forgot all about it just now. Had you, my darling. Ah. Huh? Oh, yes. But that was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise. Really? Aww.
What was that all about? Constable Beate looked very obviously troubled during the exchange.
I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insight. But I'm quite sure one thing. We have to ask Miss Beate about the bouquet.
Miss Beate, that bouquet of you mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please.
Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to. What happened was, I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime?
Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back, I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Roly gave me. It was in a dark spot where the street lights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice at first.
And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was.
case you need reminding, Miss Beate, the victim is not diseased.
I was all flustered for the moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the road.
Your husband, presumably?
That's right, silly me, I go over the wrong side of the street. Although I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. I can't think how it got there, I really can't.
So the bouquet somehow moved from the one side of the briar to the opposite. Curious indeed.
Isn't it? But the worst of it is, I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. The beautiful rose Roly brought me, but that changed from the gutter he spent so long collecting.
By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this? Sorry, solitary rose?
Oh, yes, that's it. That's the bouquet Roly bought for me on our anniversary with old bits of change he found in the gutter.
Maybe just call it a rose. Tell us, Lord Von Sykes, where did you come by the flower? According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garrett household. In front of the Garrett household. Although it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be no relevance to the case since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare.
Oh, thank you, sir. Could I have it back now, please?
No, I think for a good measure this rose should be added to the court record as evidence.
Aww.
Anniversary added to the court record.
But it's a symbol of our love.
He can get you another one.
I want it back after trial. Do you hear me? I want it back.
Good grief, rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Miss Beate. Alright then, I think we know what to do. Okay, I have an idea what we can press on. Because from their point of view, they're on the opposite side when it happened. Because they say it's right here, but the rose is over there. And I don't know what Beate means, so I'm assuming it's a police box. But he says this is his jurisdiction, right here. Anything significant on this rose?
Fine, an English rose. It's such a beautiful flower.
Ah, this is a rose, is it? I've never seen one before.
Do you not take interest in flowers, Mr. Naruhodo?
I wouldn't say that exactly, but I do know 3 types at least.
Gosh, 3?
Yes, plum blossom, peach blossom, and cherry blossom.
Perhaps you should consider branching out, learning some that aren't fruit tree based, example?
Maybe that's something we can find. Let's sip. Can we open this? Hold up! Stop moving! It's a very stylish paper that flowers wrap it in, isn't it?
It's just an old newspaper, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, I suppose it's because I'm not used to seeing English print. It's so exotic to me.
Ah, I see.
Is something wrong?
Oh, no. I was just thinking that if you wrapped a stone bake to pretend in English newspaper, it might look some sort of fancy cake.
Ah, Susato-san, you do love your cakes. Alrighty then. What else to look? Nothing. Okay. Patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of the community relationship. The policeman will strive to preserve peace with the law to beat. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations. We got that part so far. Okay, it's kind of confusing because it came on the pavement on the east side of it. Oh, come on, I did it again! I did it again on that part. Fast forward! The whole idea of an invisible attacker has been troubling all along. I believe I'm starting to get a picture of what really happened here now. The fourth book that had no business being at the scene of the crime made me sure that Miss Garrett was hiding something from us, but it's becoming increasingly clear that someone else has been hiding something from us as well. I think I may already be alarmed. I'm ready to be armed with everything I need to strike a decisive blow here. This time, it's going to expose the whole truth about this mysterious affair.
The question is, what do we need to present? We're gonna make a big old guess here. If I had to jump cut it, I'll jump cut it because I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm making a big old guess. That's it. Because I didn't quite understand what he meant about the Bailey thing. From where she stood. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, said nothing strange to report in the front cell. It's kind of confusing when I read it all. Outside Constable Beate's Beat, the border of which runs down the middle of Briar Road. The receipt discovered Mr. Natsumi's... well, I had nothing to do with it.
Objection!
I made a big ol' guess. You claim, Constable Beate, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that cannot be. I just made a big ol' guess. Let's go. What do you mean to say? In your testimony just now, Miss Beate, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to the beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of the Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that meager bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be described, no doubt it was blown to the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. Meager?
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beate not testify to the fact? No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beate swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. But the bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why Roly didn't mention it, I'm sure. No, because sadly it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. We're talking about the crime scene. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Think about it. Besides Miss Beate's bouquet, there's Mr. Garrett's book. Mr. Garrett's copied The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out of the window by his wife. Would have struck the pane of the casement window and let it here on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found on the opposite side of the road, in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Miss Beate's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime, on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in front of Mr. Garrett's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Roly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word the scrawny lawyer says? Wittering about books and bouquets, why should we care? It's nitpicking. What is? Oh good, Miss Garrett's come round. You might call it nitpicking, Miss Garrett, but deliberately meddling with the scene of the crime is a criminal offense. It's called tampering. Hey, let's go! But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it, for a very subtle but compelling reason. Tampering? You've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend, who would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? Yes, there's someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points out to one particular person. Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture.
Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime? The guy that wants a raise. This guy.
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Roly Beate, it was you. What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard?
What nonsense! Why would my Roly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No bobbies work here more tirelessly than the people of London.
Miss Beate, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go on a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is only the opportunity anyone had to tamper with it.
You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about the Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
If that was true, Constable Beate would have seen him do it.
And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Miss Beate, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Well...
Objection!
First, you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you're incriminating a policeman as well? But your accusations lack one important thing. You claim the crime scene was tampered with, but there is only one reason anyone would commit such reckless crime: to hide something.
That's right, he's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why would he have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense.
You offer no motive for his alleged tampering, and until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats.
Constable Beate had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to the entire affair. Mr. Naruto, have you managed to solve this mystery?
Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not to point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be blah blah blah. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to court the motive to his alleged tampering.
Yes, my lord.
Constable Beate's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the book fell, where the victim fell. Ha ha ha. Where the victim fell. Because it's his jurisdiction, right? Yeah! Where the victim fell to the ground. That is where the bobby had to cover up, at all costs. What?
Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement on Briar Road, we saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know.
That's certainly what everybody had been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all.
What? What?
I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing the crime actually took place that evening? The opposite side. Please tell me it's the right one, or I have to be somewhere specific. Well, let's just say it's right here, because I don't know.
Take that!
Anywhere in that area? But that's on the opposite side of the road.
I don't understand.
On the evening in question, Miss Garrett's book fell directly down from the open window above, and your bouquet, Miss Beate, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Good gracious!
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the movement of the attack took place.
That's right, I saw it with my own eyes.
It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid, that was actually on the west side of Briar Road.
No, that's not true. It can't have been.
Constable Beate then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you help for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in the print, the victim, herself, the 4 books. He moved everything in fact to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary! But the constable overlooked one thing.
What? What did he overlook?
The bouquet, I presume?
Exactly. The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago of the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Von Sykes said it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light.
Yes, it could have been seen in dark, obviously.
Which is why it was only the bouquet
That was found in the original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond, Constable Roly Beate?
Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss any—
Oh my god.
Oh, Roly. It isn't true, is it? What the lawyer says is all lies, is it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. I had a dream. A terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything come out. Everything exposed. Only, it seems, it wasn't a dream at all.
Good golly! He admits! Order! Order! What on earth is the meaning of all this?
Oh, Roly, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is—
She's not dead.
Wishing the victim dead should be one, too.
Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London Town.
I can't say, sir.
What?
I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything.
I have a possible explanation for why, on that particular evening, Constable Beate felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can't think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? You're a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. And yet, Lord Von Sykes, it is foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. At once, my lord. England, Japan, it makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions. What gives away the motive for Constable Beate's unthinkable actions? I don't know. Is it the freaking thing that he just gave us as evidence? Like I said, I made some guesses so far. But this is my next guess.
Take that!
I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land and I have only just arrived from Japan, which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example, keep the pace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways, there's no doubt that the young Bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Beate, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord.
Oh, yes.
Constable Beate had worked so hard to be able to afford a simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal, when he and Mrs. Beate stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. when he saw the shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them. What must have gone through the man's mind? He was looking forward to it. This is the warrant card that Constable Beate offered to lend me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with the initial investigation and help detectives.
Ah,
Constable Beate, is that not reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day?
Yes. Everything you said, it's all right.
So, that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat.
Oh,
Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beate's beat.
good gracious. Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done?
it was the first time since I became a copper that I ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then, it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with the initial investigation and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? Why? It's a copper's job to guard the scene of crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then when I opened my mouth to speak. It just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. It's the next beat to mine, Pat. So you have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right along Mission Street. Then... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted that one night to take my Priscia out for dinner. Oh, really? Just that one night.
You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just cross the street to the east pavement of the Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care.
You see, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Roly would never have left a poor woman on freezing cold pavement.
Ah, I see your meaning now.
But God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Roly, that was all my fault. I should never drop in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Roly.
And can you tell us, Constable? How many books did you move from that one side of the road to the other in total?
Oh, 4 it was. Yes, definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garib household, of course.
But what made you place the book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean?
Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it.
How you found it? What do you mean?
When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
You're sure it wasn't this book? The Lion's Pride that the victim was holding?
Oh, yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir.
Interesting. I'm suggesting she got hit in the head by the book and then she fainted and then the knife just made its way to the back. That's it. That's what I'm suggesting.
I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the two people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jot of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it.
My lord. Yes, Lord Von Zykes? I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw.
Yes, sir. Miss Prosecutor, sir? What will become of my Roly? What will happen to him?
For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course.
Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. It's all because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. Alright then, my love.
One last thing, Constable.
Yes, sir?
Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you.
Yes, sir.
Carve that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime.
Never again, sir. You mean to say...
Leave now. This trial is not yet over.
Sir.
Well, quite startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought the third party transplanting the entire scene of crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could have possibly committed this crime. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back.
Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of the possibility already.
Lord Von Zykes, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will, and if your further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing.
Still?
Or name the other person who could have perpetrated the crime.
Can't we just end it off with a not guilty verdict, please?
We're going into part 3. She got hit by the book, and then it's probably her.
Take that!
Like I said, she got hit in the book in the head, and then the knife is probably thrown in the back where it should found. The defense would like to request a cross-examination of the new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about the case, it's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Miss Joan Garrett.
Objection!
That request has already been denied. But the situation is very different now. Miss Garib, answer me this.
What do you want now, you little toad?
At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garib. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited, and to be clear, the smoke from the room your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane at the open top hinge casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay on your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Miss Garib. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and Did we not just run through this? Did we not just run through this? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all. No, juror number 4.
Oh.
What did she say? Hold up.
I'm supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband, and anyway, the man over there in all the regalia said members of the jury need a testify, didn't he?
Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out.
We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how could you expect to know? What's that?
Are you joking? What are you saying? Please, Miss Garib.
Testify. Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that was what you think. Come along now, chop chop. Do your worst. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it already.
Then take the stand, juror.
Oh.
The prosecution does not object to the defense request to cross-examine this woman.
Thank you, Lord Von Zykes. I'm going to have to testify?
Juror number 4, as I'm sure you will appreciate having observed it with your own eyes today, witness the testimony can lead the most extraordinary truths being unearthed, truths of which the witness themselves may not even have been aware.
Oh, dearie me.
So I demand you full unaltered testimony, Miss Garib, and mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, consuls? Certainly, my lord.
Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord.
To be continued again? This is such a strange feeling.
For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. To be continued! And with that, we'll end the episode right here. Like and subscribe. Chronicles 69. I'm signing out.